the top 20 best SUVs for seniors for 2024. Seniors often choose a car based on comfort, spaciousness, quality, and family convenience. With this in mind, we have prepared our list accordingly. Brief information about the cars, fuel usage, starting price, etc. are included in the video. SUVs are usually around $50,000. Kia EV6, easy on the eyes, priced right, and fun to drive. The fully electric 2024 Kia EV6 is among the best SUVs sold today. While rear-drive models with the larger pack are EPA rated at up to 310 miles, the light with the smaller pack gets a shorter 232-mile range. Starting price, $43,975. Hyundai Tucson Hybrid. The Tucson Hybrids turn the striking SUV into a smart all-rounder offering good pep, hushed cruising, nice features, and friendly pricing for the segment. The EPA estimates that the Tucson Hybrid is good for 38 mpg city and 38 mpg highway. The plug-in hybrid model earned a rating of 80 mpg combined and delivered 33 miles of electric-only driving in the EPA's test. Starting price $33,950. Volvo XC40. The 2024 Volvo XC40 delivers huge practicality, a premium cabin, nice standard tech, and Volvo's reputation for safety, all in a lively Swedish design. The XC40's EPA fuel economy ratings are a class-competitive 23 mpg city and 30 mpg highway, but on our 75 mpg highway fuel economy route, the little SUV delivered only 27 mpg. Starting price, $41,795. Hyundai Santa Fe, more space and a funky new look make the redesigned 2024 Hyundai Santa Fe look radically different from before, but it retains its comfort-oriented road manners. The EPA estimates that the front-wheel drive Santa Fe will return 20 mpg city and 29 mpg highway. Starting price $35,345. Kia TELLURIDE. The TELLURIDE offers a generous set of standard features, and its top trim delivers a premium experience that's comparable to SUVs that cost far more. The EPA estimates the front drive version is the thriftiest, with ratings of 20 mpg in the city and 26 mpg on the highway. Starting price $37,585. Hyundai Palisade. With a high-class cabin, a smooth ride, and space for the whole family, the three-row Hyundai Palisade is one of the best in the mid-size SUV segment. According to the EPA, the front-wheel drive Palisade achieves a rating of 19 mpg city and 26 mpg highway. Starting price $38,045. LEXUS RX Hybrid. The mid-size RX crossover SUV isn't the model that established the Lexus brand's bona fides. That would be the Mercedes S-Class baiting LS 400 luxury sedan. But once it arrived, the RX quickly became the sales hero of the lineup. On our real-world 75 mph highway test, the RX went 28 miles on electricity before the gas engine kicked in and then averaged 30 mpg in hybrid mode for the rest of the loop. Starting price, $70,580. KIA Sportage Hybrid. Beneath the 2024 Kia Sportage Hybrid's unconventional design lies a conventional compact crossover that offers plenty of practicality but little on-road charm. The front-drive Sportage Hybrid is rated for up to 42 mpg city and 44 mpg highway. Starting price $29,965. Hyundai Santa Fe Hybrid. Hyundai has rebooted the 2024 Santa Fe Hybrid as a boxy three-row SUV with a more stylish cabin and rugged design cues, but it retains its soft-riding nature. The 2023 Santa Fe Hybrid was rated at 36 mpg city and 31 mpg highway. Starting price $38,345. Lexus RX. Despite a complete overhaul last year, the Lexus RX SUV retains soft riding road manners that seem tailor-made for its faithful buyers. The EPA's data shows that the most efficient RX model is the RX 350h, which carries claimed ratings of 37 mpg city and 34 mpg highway. Starting price $49,950. Mazda CX-50. The 2024 CX-50 brings refinement and driving joy to the compact SUV class in a way that only a Mazda can, and delivers it wrapped in a handsomely designed package. That model is rated for 24 mpg city and 30 mpg highway, but going with the optional turbo only drops those numbers by 1 mpg respectively, while adding a lot of performance. Starting price $31,675. Chevrolet Blazer. The Blazer is neither luxurious nor a good value, but it's a spacious mid-size SUV that looks sporty and handles better than many of its competitors. The Blazer with the standard Turbo 4 is rated at up to 22 mpg city and 29 highway. Starting price $36,795. Toyota Grand Highlander Hybrid. Toyota expands the Highlander SUV lineup, literally, with the introduction of the stretched 2024 Grand Highlander. The front-wheel drive 2.5-liter hybrid version takes the efficiency crown. Its EPA estimated 37 mpg city and 34 mpg highway figures, 3632 for AWD, make it the most efficient Grand Highlander in the pack. Starting price $46,065. Hyundai IONIQ 5. The Hyundai IONIQ 5 won our EV of the Year award for 2022 because it sacrificed nothing to be different. Today, it still wears its cool hand boxy rectangularity with great pride. The larger 77.4 kWh pack is rated at 266 miles with dual motors and 303 miles with a single motor. The dual motor model went 210 miles on a full charge on our 75 mph real-world range test. Starting price $43,175. Land Rover Range Rover. What attracts elites to the Range Rover isn't its off-road ability, but rather its opulent cabin and the A-list status that it's developed over the years. The entry-level P400 is rated for 18 mpg city and 26 mpg highway, while the V8-powered P530 has earned 16 mpg city and 21 mpg highway estimates. Starting price $108,875. Subaru Forester. With ample cargo space and a practical layout, the Forester succeeds at being a comfortable crossover, although some rivals offer more satisfying engagement. With EPA fuel economy ratings that match much of the compact crossover segment, 26 mpg city, 33 mpg highway, the Forester will likely satisfy buyers seeking efficiency. Starting price $28,440. Chevrolet Traverse. Chevrolet's Traverse family-size SUV has historically been good mostly for traversing suburban blacktops rather than climbing rocky trails, but the three-row crossover has been updated for 2024 with an emphasis on capability. The EPA hasn't released fuel economy estimates for the 2024 Traverse yet, but we're hoping to see an improvement over its V6-powered predecessor. Starting price $39,495. Toyota Highlander. Past Toyota Highlanders have taken the shotgun approach to the mid-size SUV segment, offering myriad trims, standard and hybrid powertrains, and front or all-wheel drive variants in order to cover the widest possible swath of buyers. The gasoline Highlander wears EPA estimates 25 mpg combined, 21 mpg city, and 29 mpg highway, though the all-wheel drive version subtracts 1 mpg in each metric. Starting price $40,665. Chevrolet Tahoe. There's a lot to love about the full-size Chevrolet Tahoe. It's a big SUV, seating up to 8. Like its longer suburban sibling, the Tahoe comes with 3 powertrain offerings, all of which pair to either rear or four-wheel drive, and a 10-speed automatic transmission. The most fuel-efficient Tahoe features the available diesel engine, with ratings of 21 mpg city and 28 mpg highway. Starting price $58,195. INFINITI QX60, challenging the European brands in the mid-size luxury SUV category, requires a stylish, premium entrant, but the 2024 INFINITI QX60 isn't quite able to offer its rivals elbows-out competition. The EPA has given the QX60 fuel economy ratings of 21 mpg city and 26 mpg highway for front-wheel drive models. All-wheel drive drops those numbers by 1 mpg each. Starting price $51,000. Which of the 20 named SUVs was your favorite? Which one would you like to own? Please leave a comment. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for more videos. See you in the next videos.